In this video, we're going to go through some of the arguments for starting a YouTube channel, which have, in general, ultimately led me to here, starting a YouTube channel and putting out videos. My name's Connor, I'm a physiotherapist working in Scotland, and I'm hoping to share a couple of concepts and ideas that I've found quite resourceful during my time that might be quite useful to yourself in the areas of health, financial security, and also self-improvement. The first thing that really persuaded me to start a YouTube channel was the idea of skill acquisition. And in general, what I feel in your 20s, one of the most useful things that you can do during this period is to build up as much skills as you possibly can. There are a lot of benefits to building up as much skills as you can over the course of your career. Some of the skills that are quite useful in today's day and age that you can acquire from starting a YouTube channel or just putting out content in general is things like being a videographer, editing ideas, creating your ideas yourself, so generating these, researching projects, and generally what this tends to provide for yourself is a certain degree of competence in a variety of different areas. So for example, I'm a physiotherapist, sticking to my kind of own lane. If I carried on like that, then what would end up happening is I could end up becoming in too narrow a field, and if I decided I wanted to branch off or I wasn't quite happy where I was at, then I'm kind of reliant on those skills that I've built up in that narrow field. And at the time when I'm 40 or 50, then I might not have as much zeal and as much energy to actually pursue other areas of practice like I would at the moment. It's something that I've always had a bit of a bee in my bonnet about. As I've been growing up, I used to work as a fishing net manufacturer back in my hometown in Fraserburgh, and I used to work painting fishing boats, and I've worked in a variety of different bars, and a lot of the gaffers that I've had have been great, but some of them have not. And I thought to myself, I don't think there could be anything worse than actually working for this guy for the rest of my life. So building up that degree of competence and building up that skill acquisition is what will ultimately lead you to freedom. The idea of skill acquisition, this actually leads me on to my next point, which is, I would say, the most important skill that I'm hoping to build up during this period of time, and that is to become more articulate. The ability to communicate with other people, and especially exactly what we are doing right now over the course of the internet, is probably one of the most useful skills that you could have in your arsenal, regardless of what career you're in. Over COVID, I was a little bit bored and I had a lot of spare time in my hands, so what I ended up doing was spending a lot of time reviewing books. So I would review these books and I would look through all of the different notes that I'd made about them and then create a succinct summary and put off some of my own perspectives regarding the books. And with that became a much better clarity when I was talking to my patients day to day in my clinical practice, and becoming a better physio and being able to articulate my ideas more clearly and more succinctly so that I can offer the best possible treatment and buy-in from patients so that they can become what they need to be. With physiotherapy, you don't actually make anybody better, you give people the tools to make themselves better. However, if they don't trust their physiotherapist, or if they don't believe in the competence of their physiotherapist, then they're not going to buy into it. So there's no any point in carrying on. That's why the ability to articulate the second point that I made plays into this particular perspective massively. The fourth best argument that I've heard for making a YouTube channel is the benefit that I have had. I've had a ridiculous amount of benefit from YouTube in terms of a lot of the people that have created content over the years, the likes of Elliot Hulse, Paul Check, are two strength and conditioning / physiotherapy type kind of people that I used to listen to back when I was 16, 17, 18 before I got into my area of practice, and then a lot of kind of bodybuilding channels like Christian Guzman and people along those kind of lines, and then more laterally along the lines of productivity and financial kind of experts such as Dave Ramsey and Ali Abdaal. They've all been really, really useful in terms of all the different perspectives that I've gained, and they've almost been like mentors that I've never ever met. And although I don't feel like I would be any use, or I think I'd be of limited use, shall we say, compared to a lot of those kind of juggernauts, then if just one person could get any kind of useful benefit from what I'm trying to say, then that would be really, really gratifying to hear. The fifth argument for creating a YouTube channel for myself personally is that I feel it could just be a bit of fun. You know, I think it could be a good wee task. It's a nice interesting thing to share your perspectives in different areas and get better in all these different areas. And also, what I found within YouTube, especially over the last couple of years, it seems to be a bit more of an educational resource as opposed to a clickbaity type resource, and you know, some of your immediate gratification when you're going through your Instagram Reels or your TikTok. It's a bit different, it's a bit more long form, it's a bit more informative. It's the actual standard of the content has went up so much compared to when I used to watch it back in the day. So being a part of that and potentially contributing to all of that free education, that's a big point about it as well, it's free, is something that I would love to be a part of, and it's something that I've wanted to do for years and years. I remember even like 6-7 years ago thinking about starting a YouTube channel and starting videography and doing nature blogs and all this kind of nonsense, and I've got no plans to do any kind of blogs as such, but giving off informative, succinct, systematic type videos like I'm doing here is something that I think could be quite fun. The sixth and final argument for this, in my personal opinion, is documenting. So it's something to look back on, it's something to reflect on, it's something to see how far you've came, and especially in those times when you're really struggling to progress and get on a little bit further, then you can look back and go, look how far I've came, and it can be a right source of inspiration. And in my personal life, I like to use my Instagram as just a bit of a highlight reel, and it's something that hopefully over the course of this, I doubt I will get particularly popular, but at the same time, if you are doing things and posting on Instagram to try and get popularity, then it's not particularly something that you can control. Whereas you're doing it for you to look back on, then it is something that's within your control, and it doesn't create this situation where you're going to be disappointed. This leads me on to my final bonus point or argument for creating a YouTube channel, and that is money. And it is certainly not one of those things that you can control. With making this, I had to think quite a lot. I huffed and I hawed, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of years, as I said. However, I've come to the realisation that making this channel might not create any form of wealth whatsoever in any way, shape or form, and I'm okay with that. I think focusing on the things such as the skill acquisition, etc., are outcomes that are within your control. And it's a very kind of clear perspective from Stoicism. In Stoicism they say control the controllables, and all those points I made are controllable. And certainly when you see YouTubers that are making 10, 20, 30 grand a month, whatever the case may be, then that is very, very tempting, and it looks lovely, but statistically it's something around the lines of 152 videos to get to 1,000 subscribers is the average within YouTube. So for me to actually get 150 odd videos is potentially unrealistic, and for me to actually monetize after 1,000 subscribers is potentially unrealistic, and statistically speaking it's very, very unlikely that I will ever make a penny off of this. So for that reason I need to try and take that argument out of the fray, to try and not avoid disappointment, but you know, harbour it, keep it on the back burner, because you want to be realistic with these things. So focus on the controllables, and I think that's quite a useful perspective to end the video on, and just to try and carry forward in the rest of our lives in any way, shape or form. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.